The Chesapeake Bay watershed encompasses parts of 6 states and drains 64,000 square miles. Lancaster County, Pennsylvania, with a total area of 944 square miles, is almost totally within the Chesapeake Bay drainage basin via the Susquehanna River watershed. The leading threats to the health of the bay is excess nitrogen, phosphorus, and sediment pollution. The causes of these excesses are quite varied. They include sewage treatment plants, runoff from urban and suburban population areas, and agriculture. The degradation of the Chesapeake Bay has cost local economies tens of billions of dollars in the past half-century. Lancaster County has a rich tradition in agriculture dating back to before we were a country. With farming comes the inevitable runoff of nitrogen, phosphorus, and sediment, and other pollutants. Farmers in the watershed are planning and implementing best management practices such as manure and stormwater management and stream buffers to reduce pollutants reaching the streams and ultimately the Chesapeake Bay. This is the story of 3 farms and smaller parts of other farms that comprise a complete watershed within the much larger Bay watershed. These landowners, along with project managers, the Stroud Water Research Center, and Team Ag out of Ephrata, PA, have taken the lead in the pollution mitigation efforts. Other organizations involved are the Alliance for Chesapeake Bay, Lancaster Farmland Trust, Lancaster County Conservation District, the Chesapeake Bay Foundation, Lancaster Clean Water Partners, and many other partners lending funding assistance. Covering a seemingly insignificant 232 acres, 0.0006% of the Chesapeake Bay watershed, this relatively tiny watershed and improvements being undertaken have the researchers at the Stroud Center quite excited. The ramifications of the improvements being undertaken could have far-reaching implications concerning pollution mitigation projects in the future. In the words of the Stroud Center, this watershed project is unique among others we have worked on because we were able to start monitoring the water before any of the work started, and we will continue monitoring well after everything is done for many years. Having the cooperation of every farmer in the watershed gives us a unique opportunity to get a clear picture how effective these conservation practices are in reducing pollution to the streams. You can't help but notice these green fields. In the past, fields like these in early springtime would often be plowed. The use of no-till farming practices and winter cover crops that are growing in these green fields and advanced fertilizer management are also important to improving water quality in the stream. Let's take a flight down the center of this most unique study area. We'll start at the southernmost part of the watershed. We'll head north and we can see the farms that comprise this most unique area. The first farm has completed all the improvements in their project. We'll look closer at those in a few minutes. The second farm is finishing up the last stages of their project. The last farm, ending at the confluence of the small creek as it flows into the Peckway Creek, has its improvements planned out and are awaiting for the contractors to begin their work. And here we have the location where the smaller creek empties into the Peckway Creek. Here's an aerial view of our 232-acre watershed looking west. The watershed in question is pretty much that land area to the left-hand side of the road that you can see. Heading toward the farm at the uppermost portion of the study area, we can see right away a grassed waterway through one of the fields. This waterway allows water to run off without soil erosion. It is planted with suitable vegetation and maintained to optimally protect and improve water quality. Here we have a close-up of the manure and stormwater management projects that have been completed in the barnyard area. The first building is a heifer barn. Heifers are raised in this open-air shelter, and all their manure and urine flows through grates in the floor to be gravity fed into the large round pit you can see here. The smaller building is a manure shed, which shelters more solid manure and bedding from different cattle holding areas from around the farm. As you can also see, the barnyard has been concreted over with barriers around the outside edge. The manure from this area is also pushed into the manure pit. This is one of 2 manure pits that were completed at this farm. The other pit is at a higher elevation. The lower pit is outfitted with a pump to pump its material to the upper pit. These 2 pits combined allow the farmer to collect the waste for a period of time and then spread it on his fields at a time that is most beneficial to his crops and least harmful to the environment. Stormwater runoff from the roofs has also been addressed through guttering and underground drainage systems. Here's a view of the buffer zone that was installed along the waterway on the upper farm. The farmer decided on a 35-foot buffer zone on each side of the stream. You will notice the white tree tubes within the buffer zone. Funded by CREP, the Conservation Reserve Enhancement Program, which is part of the Farm Service Agency, and coordinated by the Chesapeake Bay Foundation, farmers are paid an annual rent in exchange for removing sensitive land from production and establishing permanent resource-conserving plant species. Many native tree and shrub species were planted on each side of the stream. Common species are sycamore, river birch, red maple, swamp white oak, shrub dogwoods, black willows, arrowwood viburnums, and dozens of other choices which are available. Fenced in, no animals are allowed to graze in the buffer zone. Concrete walkways were installed at certain locations so that livestock could cross the stream without creating turbulence. Let's take a look now at some of the improvements that are being undertaken at the middle farm. The fencing around the stream delineating the buffer zone has been installed. The Stroud Center is funding the installation of this buffer zone not only on this middle farm, but the lower one as well. You may have noticed a few seconds ago a red dump truck creating a gravel road. This gravel road, fenced on both sides, is a cattle lane. This allows the cattle to be moved from the barnyard area to higher pastures without creating muddy areas that lead to more sediment runoff into the stream. Below, we are witnessing 2 tree planting contractors planting the native species within the buffer zone. Here, One is augering the holes where the plants will be inserted. Stroud helps with maintenance pretty intensely for first 3 years, so the trees get a good start. Farm families can enjoy the buffers in many ways, but they can't graze their livestock in there. The buffers help the stream by filtering runoff and pollution, protecting the stream banks, shading and cooling the stream, dropping leaves in the stream for food for aquatic insects, and providing woody debris when branches and trunks fall in the stream, which is a good thing. Trees and forests are the life support system of our streams and rivers. The other contractor in the back, he's dropping the plants near the newly augered holes. They'll go back later and plant those plants. At eroding stream banks, like you see here, another contractor will be densely planting stream bank shrubs to reduce erosion. This second farm had other hardscape projects completed as well. A new larger manure pit, concrete work done around the barnyard to control animal waste runoff, as well as an open air heifer barn that has an enclosed manure system also. Back to the wagon here to get another load of native species. Here you can clearly see the fence line delineating the buffer zone. Now the work can progress to the third and last farm. Barnyard and stormwater improvements are in the offing, as well as a buffer zone to the confluence where the waters enter the Peckway Creek, and ultimately to the Chesapeake Bay. These farmers should be applauded for their willingness to undergo these projects. Without their cooperation, none of this could have been possible. Through their cooperation, the funding from themselves and many conservation organizations, this real-life laboratory can be studied for years to come to ensure money is being spent on worthwhile projects that have the most impact on water quality. Thanks for watching. I greatly appreciate your time. Leave a comment and a like to show your appreciation to all those involved in these most worthwhile projects. Have a great day. We'll see you on the next video. Bye-bye.